Hello Cowboys Nation, welcome to another video, and without further ado, let's get to another round of news from America's team. Cowboys HC Mike McCarthy warned about hot seat before 2024 NFL season. The Dallas Cowboys are entering an all-important season, and no one is facing more pressure to succeed than head coach Mike McCarthy. The Cowboys head coach has made the playoff 3 times in the past 4 years, but has just one win to show for it. Now, Dallas is entering a make-or-break year. For Sports Illustrated writer Carl Rasmussen, McCarthy is such a clear-cut, hot seat candidate that he is the first listed in his September 5 article. Jerry Jones is impatient. And with each passing year that the Cowboys go without a Super Bowl, that patience wears even thinner. McCarthy is entering his 5th season as the head coach in Dallas, Rasmussen wrote. 2024 could be a do-or-die year for McCarthy and the Cowboys. The team is loaded with talent on both sides of the ball, leaving little reason that the team can't at least make a run to the Super Bowl. After all, the Cowboys are entering the final year of QB Dak Prescott's contract and also boast a talented defense with stars like LB Micah Parsons and CB Trayvon Diggs. The team is clearly playoff worthy, but they've yet to show they can get over the hump. NFL agents speak on Prescott extension. Speaking of Prescott, the Cowboys QB is entering the final year of a deal that features a no-trade, no-tag clause. After an off-season with no extension, there are now questions of whether or not he will stick with Dallas. For the 31 NFL agents, opinions vary significantly. 18 believe he will re-sign with the Cowboys, while 13 don't. There's a clear majority in those numbers, but some of the anonymous comments provide important context. Hold the line. Once you start paying guys that crazy money, they effectively own part of a team. You can get a $5 million QB and win 8 games. Maybe Jerry is getting hip to that reality, one agent said. Most of the other quotes deliver a similar sentiment. The Cowboys have reason to wait. The issue is whether Dak is a top 5 QB. He was in the regular season, but is he a difference maker? I think Dallas is doing right by seeing what he's worth, another agent replied. Reported hold-up on Cowboys QB's extension. While the agent's quotes don't seem to signal an extension anytime soon, a recent report from Diana Rossini suggests otherwise. In an episode of the Scoop City podcast, Rossini said that her sources are claiming it's just an issue of contract length. The hold-up at this point, from what I understand, is about the years the Dallas Cowboys are willing to commit to, Rossini said on September 3. Essentially, Dallas is trying to decide how long they want to commit to Prescott as he enters his age 31 season. Prescott wants a long-term deal, but the Cowboys could be wary of committing to that length after the QB's issues with playoff success. While the QB is coming off a campaign that earned him second-team All-Pro honors, Prescott is 2-5 in the playoffs with Dallas and has never made an NFC Championship game with the team. Cowboys predicted to dump RB1 Ezekiel Elliott for 1,000-yard running back. When it comes to the Cowboys' running game, maybe any scrap of positivity can be taken for wishful thinking. Or maybe not. Maybe, instead of the Cowboys' running game having taken the massive step backward many seem to think it's taken, maybe the real answer has been under our noses all this time. Maybe this is just Rico Dowdle's time to shine. There has been a groundswell of optimism from within Cowboys Nation around what has been labeled the weakest running back room in the NFL, by Pro Football Focus and others. Most of that optimism centers on the possibility that it is not retread veteran Ezekiel Elliott who will make or break this grouping. It's Dowdle who will, perhaps sooner rather than later, nudge aside all members of the team's so-called running back committee and be the Cowboys' true RB1. Cowboys to get 1,000 yards from running back. That is the sentiment at the podcast Locked on Cowboys, from a segment this week entitled, 6 Bold Predictions for 2024 Dallas Cowboys including Pro Bowl RB Rico Dowdle. And while host Marcus Mosher did not go so far as to actually predict Dowdle making a Pro Bowl, he and fellow host Landon McCool did suggest that Dowdle is headed toward a 1,000-yard season. That would match the production from last year's Tony Pollard, who put up 1,005 yards on 252 carries. It would mean that Dowdle nudges aside Elliott, not to mention newly signed Dalvin Cook, and seizes the reins as the featured guy in the Cowboys' backfield. Cowboys trade pitch adds record-breaking version of Pollard for pick. Stop us if you've heard this before. The Cowboys don't have much of a running backs room heading into the 2024 season opener, and adding a probably spent veteran like Dalvin Cook is not going to help matters much. But would a further raid on the depth chart of the Jets, Cook was a forgotten man in New York last year and eventually let go before the start of the playoffs, really be of much use for the Cowboys? Maybe, according to the thinking at the analysis site The 33rd Team, which is proposing a trade between the Jets to bring in a potentially dynamic young running back for a late 2025 draft pick. As the site's Ian Valentino lays it out, the Cowboys could pluck 2023 fifth-round pick Israel Abanikanda from the Jets for a sixth-rounder. The Cowboys probably would still be lagging in the rush game, but as Valentino writes, the team has the worst running backs unit in the NFL. Trading for Israel Abanikanda doesn't completely resolve that issue, but the electric slasher would add much-needed juice to the run game. Israel Abanikanda broke Tony Dorsett's Pitt record. Abanikanda played in 6 games as a rookie last year, tallying 22 attempts and 70 yards, for an average of 3.2 yards per carry. He was a star at Pittsburgh, though, where he ran for 1,431 yards in 11 games as a junior, tallying 20 touchdowns, plus another as a receiver. It's his big play ability in college that would be of interest to the Cowboys. Abanikanda certainly has that. He broke Pitt's single-game record for rushing yards, with 320, in October of 2022, topping the 303 yards that former Cowboys great Tony Dorsett put up back in 1975. Here's the justification for the trade for Abanikanda, who was outstanding in the preseason, and led all running backs in preseason grading at Pro Football Focus this August. Abanikanda can be this team's 2022 version of Tony Pollard. Abanikanda has routinely created chunk plays since his days at Pitt, and this preseason has highlighted his ability to sprint into the open field. He averaged 6.1 yards per carry, totaling 129 yards on 21 carries with 2 touchdowns.